is one of the most lyrical, beautiful dances of the classical traditions. What is it that makes it classical? A classical tradition of any art means that it has got a set form of rules. And over the centuries, antiquity is one of its marks. At the same time, over the centuries, artists and gurus are allowed to improvise within a certain set of rules. And this gives to infinite forms, infinite variations within a set of rules. It comes to us fundamentally unchanged. In that tradition comes Odissi. Odissi comes from Orissa, one of my favorite states in India. Orissa deserves to be better known than it is. In Australia, everybody knows Rajasthan and people are coming to know Kerala. It's a pity that not many know about Orissa. Orissa sits on the northwest of India, kissed by the shores of the Bay of Bengal. And the capital of Orissa is Bhubaneswar, named after their resident god, Lord Shiva, Bhubaneswar, Lord of the Earth. That tells you something about that state. And in Orissa there are temples. And from these temples there arose a dance form, Odissi. In the hills of Udayagiri, not far from Bhubaneswar, there are sculptures, bas-reliefs that speak of this dance form. The Natya Shastra, the treatise that actually delineates what is the classical form of dance in India, calls it Odra Magadi. Now if you know the time of Buddha and the pre-Christian era, all that area, Bihar, Orissa, all were land of the Magadhas. And from here rose this dance form. It was sustained and nurtured and nourished by three groups of people. One of them were the Devadasis. Devadasis literally mean servants of God. They are women who are given to the temples. They are more or less married to the gods, very much like the Vestal Virgins of Rome or the oracles at Delphi. And these girls, married to this temple, danced for the chosen deity. The dance was also nurtured in the palaces for their kings by the Narthiks. And also, even more wonderful, when it came to street festivals, temple festivals, women were not allowed to dance in the streets, so they chose young boys, Gotipuas, who carried on this dance tradition. And the Gotipua tradition is laid the foundation for what we know as Odissi today. Even now when you enter the little village of Raghurajpur, the bowls and the bells of the Gotipua masters is exciting. And this dance was further brought in by the fact that people used it as prayer. But with the coming of the British, who frowned upon any dance form in India, and they passed the anti-notch legislation, many of these classical traditions died. But with independence, there was a resurgence, and patronage of the arts became the order of the day. And what happened was, with the coming of independence, India wanted to set up her psyche again. And what she did is she went looking for these great gurus. A few of them were still left. They went painstakingly through palm leaf manuscripts. They studied the sculptures of the temples, and talking to gurus, they put together and reconstructed this ancient dance form as we know it today as Odissi. But the true test of the antiquity of the dance lies in the temples of Orissa, from Rajrani and Mukteshwar, from the Sun Temple at Konark. And these women, the Apsaras, the dancers of the gods, they smile at us, frozen in stone, their indolent charm as wonderful today as it was in the heart of the unknown sculptor who embellished the house of his God with the most beautiful women in the most luxurious, the most seductive poses, to say, love is what underlies all worship. From those temples, we can see the dance form you're going to see tonight. And the late Sanjukta Panigrahi, whose photograph you see, the guru of our dancer today. We used to ask her, and how do you know that you're doing something correctly? She said, our reference books are the temples. When we are in doubt, we go to the temples, and there are references. And there you see these women in the Tribangi, that is the three bend, the head, the torso, the lower part, the Tribangi, which is the mark of beauty in the Indian mind. And for the Shilpa Sastra, all the sculptors still use that Tribangi as the mark of the perfect form of the human body. You see these dancers on the temple walls, they are in chauk, the square form. And some of them are in nuchari, in movement. And they live and breathe, smiling at us from those tones in Orissa. Our dancer today is Joyoti Das. Joyoti comes from the great line of gurus. And one of the main gurus who reconstructed Odyssey were Deva Prasad, Mangalacharan Das, and Kalicharan Mahapatra. His best student, Kalicharan Mahapatra's best student was Sanjukta Panigrahi, and Joyoti Das is one of her most devoted and sincere dancers. You see on the other side of the stage a dark form with big round eyes. He is Jagannath, Lord of the world, a form of Vishnu as he is in Puri in Orissa. You see lined below him the great trinity of the Ramakrishna mission. The center is Sri Saint Ramakrishna. On his right, his most devoted disciple, Swami Vivekananda, and on the other side, his chaste and virtuous wife, Ma Sarada Devi. And below them, you see Sanjukta Panigrahi, the guru who kept Kalicharan's art in pristine purity. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we in Melbourne have the great fortune to see this dance form coming from a century BC, right down today in its beautiful, pure form. Everything about the dance speaks of Orissa. The costume is the sari from Sambal, just as Bharatanatyam. The costume is usually of Kanjivaram silk. In Odyssey, the costume is made from the Sambalpuri silk. And the Sambalpuri silk, as you can see, it's got a border. On that border is a line of Rudrakshas, the seed sacred to Shiva. That again speaks of Orissa. Even the costume is lined by the Rudraksha of Mahadev Shiva. The headdress is made from that fine cork. And when you see those jasmine things like the ray of the sun of Konarak, and when a dancer takes the stage, the teacher gives her the shikara at the top. And when the dancer wears her silver jewelry, she is saying, I come from the earth. With very little, this metal will shine and say how I love this art. She wears the bells. The first person who wore those bells the belt was Sanjukta Panigrahi herself. And Kalicharan Mahapatra strung that belt for her. So when the dancer puts on the belt, she bows her head to the gurus and say, it is with humility that I wear these. You will see beautiful ikat, which is the textile of Orissa. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, when our dancers take the stage, you and I are in the presence of an art that is a form of worship. The Upanishad sang, become a god to worship God. When a dancer takes the pose of a god, the dancer in her heart is saying, let me be you, you be in me. This is how I see you. We will open the evening with a Vandana to Ganesha, the elephant-headed god. For those of you who are uninitiated in Indian tradition, understand that our Lord Remover of Obstacles comes in the form of an elephant, Ganesha. Many of my Australian friends have asked me, how could that be, an elephant, a god? I said, yes, when you think of the elephant, it is so huge and so powerful, with the power to destroy, and yet it kills not for its food. It is an eater of grass in a world of carnage. Therefore the benevolence and kindness of God must be like the elephant. We bow our heads to Ganesha at the beginning and say, bless this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, I envy you. You and I are going to share an experience that is more than 2,000 years old. What about that? Thank you. This evening's offering opens with Mangalacharan. The dancers invoke the blessings of Lord Jagannath for an auspicious beginning. Then the dancers offer salutations to Mother Earth, asking her forgiveness for stamping upon her. The Guru, the accompanies, and finally to you, the audience. Having thus created the sacred space for the performance, they follow this with a homage to Vignendra, Lord Ganesha. As son of Mahadeva, Shiva and Parvati, he grants to the devotee the inner wisdom to guide her on the path to the divine. Mangalacharan, auspicious song.
Jagannath nritya kovidam Pandava priya
Sa